Zachariah. Oh, Zachariah. What's up, buddy?
For a second, I thought you were actually wearing like Minecraft sunglasses or something. I thought it was like a kid's toy.
No, nope. Thank God for filters, right? Because how many people have been fooled by filters? Bro, I'm telling you, like, that is a scary thing about the internet. Not only do we have to worry about what gender we're meeting whenever we go on blind dates and stuff like that. Now, you and I, we don't have to go through this, but heaven
Thank
forbid
God.
if the day ever comes, and we've talked about this more than I think we should on a sports podcast. But not only that, you've got chicks who are sending you filter or pictures that have been through like 17 filters, and you're like, God damn, I'm pretty sure that's Jennifer Aniston. Like
Yeah, it's like
100%.
I've seen that chick before.
Right. And then you meet in person, you're like, whoa, 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 Swamp Thing. Where did you come from? I'm looking for this chick right here. Well,
Uh,
that's me. What you mean, my boy?
yeah, so like there's a filter that's running around on TikTok, and it makes like the girls have like freckles and like, and I just thought it was weird. It's like, so are there's 17 different girls look exactly the same? Is it the same girl? She just has 17 different accounts? Like, what's going on? It's weird, man.
What's funny though is like I've seen some guys get on with those like filters like that, and they're like, "You women are lucky I'm straight because I'd be taking men left and right." It's like, no, no, my
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah, people are getting
Um,
catfish for real.
well, speaking of catfished and women, got another would you rather for you. I know
Okay.
you're always a fan of these.
Yes, very much.
Would you rather talk in third person every time you're laying the D down or introduce yourself as daddy's big boy every time you meet someone in business? So, like any new job interview you go to, hello, yes, sir, my name is daddy's big boy.
That just
Or,
that sounds like you're just submissive.
yeah, Ed's giving you this dick. You're getting this dick from Ed. Yeah. See, like both are highly awkward, even if you're married.
Uh, yeah, but I feel like you can play off the third person one because there's only
Yes,
one other person that's going to hear it,
correct.
right? And
Unless somebody walks past the bedroom where the Motel 6 walls are super thin, they're like, what the fuck?
yeah, the next time you're at the Ramada, no, yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, it has to be the third person because, I mean, my wife would probably get tired of it, and usually I just scream anyway, so not a big deal.
So let's change that. If if you're a screamer whenever you're busting, right? What if your friends had the ability to create whatever sound it was that you made when you bust? Would you trust your friends?
No, because I know y'all. No, I can already imagine it would be like the Mario, like when he is the little guy and then he gets the mushroom, he goes to the bigger guy. That
Blip,
would be,
blip, blip.
yeah. And it's just like in each like,
I thought you were gonna say whenever he goes, wahoo.
oh, I was thinking, or like when you hit the coin, bing, or whatever that noise is.
Oh yes. Um, speaking of this, we were
That's just
actually,
that was the sound right there. What you just said. Oh yes.
oh yes. We were actually, I was told to ask this question on our next podcast. Would you rather have 6-inch nipples going out
Oh,
or like finger nipples or like they go out wide 6 inches? And you have to pick one. You can't say neither. Like
who
both
the
are
what's
freakishly weird.
what is wrong with the person that wanted us to ask this question?
Okay, you know some of our listeners, so you've already answered your question.
This is true. I mean, I'm not a person that takes his shirt off a lot because
You're going finger nipples, aren't you?
no,
But they erect.
right? That's what I'm saying. Like, can you imagine? Hey, what's in your shirt? There is that a pencil?
I'm going with 6 inches out
Yeah,
because
yeah. I want the areolas to be 6 inches because I
no,
mean it's
no,
just
no. Oh, it's not the areolas, it's the nipple, but it goes east to west 6 inches. both ways. So you have
I
nipple, a horizontal nipple.
I'm
Like,
kind of intrigued. Like, is this a real thing?
I don't know. I haven't Googled it.
I was like, we need to Google. Like,
I would say we should go down the Reddit hole because I'm sure it's somewhere in there. But
I
to
mean,
me, Reddit is like borderline dark web.
yeah, you're gonna find some shit in there that you didn't intend to find.
Right.
I feel like though, if we did search it, we would stumble upon like a new genre of porn that
But
we didn't know existed.
you've already introduced a new porn to a lot of our listeners with the fried chicken porn.
Yes, I
And
didn't know that was
so
a thing either.
I'm not ready to take more steps to new porn yet. Like I haven't even become brave enough yet. And I know I was supposed to do my homework and be the sacrificed lamb to go check this out. I can't bring myself to it because I'm afraid how I might feel after that.
I thought of the two of us, you would be the one to check it out. I mean, you're regularly on page 139 of the hub. So I just assumed
Volume 2.
right. Yeah, it's like hub squared.
Right.
What the
So
what are you doing?
don't worry about what I'm doing. You just keep on with the show, sir.
You look like Ted,
Uncle Ted?
like the teddy bear from the movie.
Oh, okay. I thought the shit was about to get really weird. I'm like, you're not my therapist.
I hit a nerve.
Is that frowned upon on the airwaves? Bro, enough about this. We got a lot of shit to cover. A lot of shit to cover? A lot of shit to cover.
Yes.
And I mean, I say, fuck it, and let's roll. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Woo! What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of 2 Athletes Talk Sports. I'm Ed.
I'm Zach.
And here we are again, assholes. Week 1 has started in the NFL. Bucks defending Super Bowl champions versus Dallas Cowboys with the return of the Golden Knight himself, Dak Prescott. Zach, excuse me, hell of a game.
Yeah, I mean, we've had one game in the NFL season and all is right in the world. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady are the best team in the league, and the Cowboys lost.
I could not believe the amount of memes that I woke up to with the Cowboys losing. I mean, I'd understand if they got blown out,
right?
But they lost by 3 points.
Two. 31-29.
Okay, I thought it was 28. But I wasn't disappointed in this game. And I just found out that this was the highest ratings that the NFL has gotten on game 1 of week 1 since 2015. So that speaks volumes about this. Now, maybe it had something to do with Tom Brady versus quote unquote America's team. I don't call him that. Yeah. You can. I don't care.
Jerry Jones does.
Jerry Jones also loves hookers, but who doesn't, right?
He likes a glory hole.
This game had me on the edge of my seat right out the gate. So I was one of the dummies who went against the spread on Dallas. It closed at 9-5 was the highest that I saw. I bet at 8-5 with somebody. I went against the spread. I ate it. I got what I deserved, but you know what? I got a hell of a game out of it.
That I was shocked at how good the game was. Defensively, obviously, it wasn't very good because basically both teams scored 30 points. Tackling wasn't very good. But overall, it was a pretty good game. It was back and forth. Went down to the wire. Of course, Dak Prescott led a scoring drive to take the lead, but he left Tom Brady a minute 40. We have all heard that story.
And how many times did you keep hearing the commentators refer to you're giving Brady too much time? Even in the first half, whenever it was coming down to like the last 10 seconds, oh, you're giving Brady too much time.
Yeah.
That's something that Mike McCarthy needed to be aware of and more responsible. Now, granted, though, I'm not putting any blame on McCarthy on this loss. I think he coached very well the offense. I'm going to get all into that. But the first thing everybody has to agree on is Dallas's kicker I didn't even write his name down. I was disgusted with it.
Greg Zuerlein.
Oh my God.
Supposedly he tweaked his back earlier in the week, and I guess he re-aggravated it like in pregame or whatever. I mean, his entire job is to swing his entire body.
True.
So any torque on the back, any injury or any discomfort in your back obviously is going to affect you. But I mean, I think I'm on your side. You're a professional. You get out there and you get the fucking job done.
Yep.
You know, if not for his misses, right, then the Buccaneers, they don't have a shot to win the game.
So I say I don't put any blame on McCarthy. I put blame on McCarthy for one reason, on one spot and one spot only, going for the 60-yard field goal. I think it was in the first or second. I don't remember. Your kicker just previously missed a 31-yarder. And I don't mean miss by like, oh, he hit the uprights. That motherfucker went like 3 miles to the left and missed.
Yeah.
At 31. But then they wanted to keep bragging about, oh, he was making 61 and this and that. Bro, like, cool the Jets. Maybe you need to punt it here.
Yeah.
They missed it. They gave Tampa Bay excellent field advantage. And what happened? They came up with a touchdown right afterwards. So that's the only pick I have at McCarthy. But I think we have to jump into it before Dallas Cowboy fans kill us. Dak Prescott looked good.
He was on fire. I think we can both agree. The one thing that we did notice is that he's a little hesitant.
Yes.
Maybe even a little bit slower than he was in previous years after the ankle injury. I mean, it makes sense when your ankle basically detaches from your fucking leg.
Yeah.
Like I understand completely being a little timid. One thing that we talked about, before we started the show, the stat line that bothers me the most from this entire game is Dak Prescott threw the ball 58 times.
Yes.
That's not a winning formula. Granted, he threw for 403 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have the 1 interception, even though it wasn't his fault. He had 42 completions of the 58. So, I mean, it's not like he was only completing 20% of his passes. Like,
right.
Everything was fine. But the problem is that Ezekiel Elliott had 11 carries for 33 yards. Tony Pollard had 3 carries for 14 yards. And then Dak Prescott actually ran the ball 4 times for 13 yards. So there's no running game to be heard of. Now, I understand you're playing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is the number 1 defense for stopping the run. I get it. But you've got to take more pressure off Dak Prescott. This is not a league where, hey, you know what? You're just going to drop back and throw it 75 times. That's not a winning formula. That's not going to work. And you see what happened. They threw the ball that many times. They couldn't run the clock. And they gave Tom Brady 100 seconds, a minute 40 left to go, and he was able to pull it off. So, I mean, I don't know exactly what to say. They ended up losing the game anyway, so it didn't matter. But
so I look at it like this. They kept trying with the run game. They saw it wasn't working, which I'm sure they expected.
Right.
But did you see the protection that Dak had, right? Like Dak was pretty comfortable coming off of 2 injuries this quick and to be able to get the ball released the way he was. Now, I think I'll get into the running backs as far as the running game later, but what sold me on Dallas last night is how quick they were able to see a wounded duck. And what I mean by that is whenever I have his name written down.
You text me while it was going on. I thought it's not Perry, it's something
Murphy. I can't even think of his name.
You were saying if he keeps running man coverage.
So the offensive coordinator noticed that whenever they were in man coverage with Devin, it's not Devin White. Shit, I'm going to lose this. Whatever. Whenever they noticed that they were in man coverage, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, they were getting the ball with ease. They were running a lot of cover 1 here and there, a lot of cover 2. When they were noticing this, they were getting the ball down the field, 11 yards, 19 yards, 12 yards, stuff like that.
Jamel Dean
was one, in my opinion, one of the weakest links that secondary had on Tampa Bay yesterday. Dallas was very quick to pick this up, so I take my hat off to them. The high numbers of attempts by Dak is a little discouraging, but at the end of the day, I still don't put the blame on. I don't even put the blame on Dallas's defense, even though they should get some credit on it, which I'll bring up later. But think about it though: if that kicker would have made the 2 kicks that he was presented, they would have been up at least by double digits throughout the game. They could have won that game.
Yeah, if they had made at least one of those kicks, it forces Tom Brady to go for a touchdown instead of a field goal. And you give him a minute 40 seconds to one timeout, he's at least going to get a field goal. So yeah, I agree with you. If we get one more field goal made and you force them to score a touchdown, it could be a completely different outcome. I'm with you on that.
So do you have any bad takes, since we're on the subject? Do you have any bad takes from the game?
Yeah, I mean, the bad take, it has to be the running game. I understand that, Tampa Bay stout against the run. Like, I understand that, but both sides of the ball get paid to perform. And, when you throw the ball 58 times and you only run it, I think 14 is what that said. Mm-hmm. You are letting the defense know, hey, don't worry about falling for play fakes, or don't worry about keying off the way that the offensive line is blocking. Don't worry about any of that, because we're not going to run the football. There was no creative moves, no offensive guard being pulled this way or that way. Like, there was no disguising anything. Nothing. You would think if you have this much time to plan for a game, because they've known that this was going to be their week 1 opponent for a couple months now, there's no reason why you can't go and watch some tape and try to find, hey, this guy over pursues that way, or something. It just seemed like to me they just said, all right, Dak's healthy, we're going to put it all on Dak, and we're going to make him jack the ball up 58 times, and hopefully we can beat their secondary. And well, I mean, it almost worked.
I go with you on that. Dallas has the biggest advantage against Tampa Bay. Well, granted, anybody who faces Tampa Bay this year has a huge advantage. Why? Because all 22 starters came back. You know how all 22 starters react. You have a whole season of film plus postseason to see how those 22 players react to whatever situation, right? So Dallas could have, I'm with you on that. Dallas could have adapted a little bit easier on that point. Do you think Tampa Bay was more prepared?
No. I think they're just better.
Oh, okay.
I think honestly, I think both teams are very closely matched, but I think the lack of experience on the defensive side of the ball for the Cowboys is what ended up hurting them. And then I would love to say that, that's like the glaringly obvious, issue. But the deal is that, like, there's a touchdown pass that Tom Brady throws to Rob Gronkowski, that the only reason that happens is because Tom knows exactly where Gronk's going to be. Gronk knows exactly where the ball is going to be delivered. He's done the play 7 billion times, right? And it just worked. Like, they did a delayed release in the middle of the field in the red zone. So basically, everybody runs out. They're in the red zone. Rob Gronkowski makes it look like he's going to stay in to block, and then does a late release. The only person that can even react is the defensive end. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you know this, but defensive ends typically don't cover all pro tight ends.
No, they do not.
So it didn't go very swimmingly for, I think it's Randy Gregory that was there. I'm not 100% sure. It might have been Lawrence. I can't remember. But either way, they tackled him, but they tackled him when he was 5 yards deep in the end zone. So it didn't really work out in his favor.
My biggest bad takeaway on the Dallas side was their red zone presence. They were there 4 times and they were only able to convert 1 time. They've got to do a better job at that. They did such a great job at driving down the field, 95, 97 yards at one point, getting there and then shitting the bed.
Yeah.
That's a point right there to where you need to toughen up your run game. You've got one of the top tier backs in your backfield and you can't get them in there. Now, I know on the last show I brought up that Zach Martin wasn't there, but if you look at how that O-line performed last night, you barely could tell Zach Martin was missing, with the exception of opening gaps for Zeke and the rest of the run team to get through. Right. But that also falls on the running back for making plays. That's one of their key components of being a running back is you got to know when to make plays. Zeke couldn't break through anywhere. Pollard couldn't break through on the run. Pollard was doing great catching out the backfield. He was one of my favorites on that.
Yeah, he looked good. He was one of the bright spots from the backfield. But my thing is just you're paying Ezekiel Elliott $90 million to run the football, and he looked like pedestrian last night. He didn't look like the guy that we know can take over a game, right? He looked like, oh, well, I am talented, I am fast, but only when I'm playing inferior opponents. When I play someone who's on my level or maybe above his level, he gets shut down. And like you said, yeah, Zach Martin didn't play, and a couple of players on the Cowboys are known or quoted as saying that Zach Martin is the number one player on their offense. So it is possible that cost, some issue there. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like a guy that's taking up that much of your salary cap, you need to be able to just, when it's crunch time, you can turn to him and he can make a play.
So I was actually going to wait till later in the show to bring this up, but I think now is more than a perfect time. I think Zeke is going to get traded midway through the season.
Ooh.
And I think last year's performance has a lot to do with it. And just off of seeing this game alone, I think that gives them enough firepower to just say, hey, we can go ahead and cut weight. We got Tony Pollard. He can't run up like he can, but he can catch out the backfield. That's my prediction. As always, I hope I'm wrong, but
yeah, I mean, you'd hate to see something like that happen based on performance, right? To you shipped away because you're not showing up,
right? But think about the draft picks that they could get for him. First team that comes to mind is Baltimore with all their dying running backs that are out there. 3 running backs broken before the season starts.
Yeah.
I think they're a prime candidate for it. But that's just my opinion on it. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Zeke comes back to Zeke status, and we'll see. We still have 16 more weeks to go. So 17 more weeks.
Yeah.
16 games. So we'll see. Give me something good from Dallas.
Well, I think based on their performance last night, I can make my way too early prediction and say they're going to win their division.
Okay.
I think that maybe last night they looked, last night, maybe they looked a little bit green on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe they haven't completely gelled yet, but there's some promise there.
Yep.
I mean, there might have been some rookie mistakes made by Micah Parsons, but there were also some great athletic plays that he made. A lot of people talked about his coverage prowess, covering tight ends, wide receivers, running backs out of the backfield in the passing game. And there was even a comment made by Chris Collinsworth that, maybe Collinsworth, whatever, maybe they're going to take him off the field when it's like a known running down, but he was making his presence felt in
Absolutely.
the running game, making those tackles. I don't know how many tackles he ended up with.
I want to say 8 total tackles.
I talked with a couple of people that should probably listen to the show. That they thought he did well in some spots and he did terrible in some spots. This is showing he had 3 tackles, 4 assists.
Mm-hmm.
So they said he had some blown assignments, but I think that's kind of typical He's a rookie, clearly.
First major game.
Yeah,
Got
there's
jitters.
Jitters, yeah, and you're playing against Tom Brady, who can manipulate almost anybody.
Right.
So I think he played, from what I saw, I feel like he played well. He definitely lived up to his first round grade. And I think what we saw was promising, that they're going to get better. And I think that this defense is vastly improved over last year. And then you add in a healthy Dak Prescott, I think they're going to win 9 games plus. And they're going to win that division.
Okay. Well, we have a lot to see. I think next week they have the Chargers, which is another decent and up and coming offense. So we'll see how that defense holds.
Yep.
My takeaway on the Dallas side, I love how they spread the ball across the field. Now, the running game wasn't working for them, like we said. I love how every wide receiver, backfield, tight end was getting the ball. Just real quick for completions to targets, you had Pollard 4 for 4, Wilson 3 for 3, Gallup 4 for 7, Schultz 6 for 6, Lamb 7 for 15, and Cooper 13 for 16. I was really scared about Lamb at first because that first series and the second series, I wanted to say, balls were coming straight to the breadbasket and he's not catching them. I'm like, oh shit, are we seeing the sophomore slump right out the gate? Yeah. But he was able to gather himself back up, was catching balls, making touchdowns, making plays. Cooper, I texted you last night. Cooper had to have some foreign substance on them hands because some of them tight passes that he was getting, I couldn't believe he was catching those. This is a Cooper I think that we've been waiting to see. We've seen it in the past, but last night he came out hungry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of talk that people are saying, and a lot of fantasy people and all that are projecting that CeeDee Lamb is actually going to be the number 1 wide receiver in this offense.
And I don't think Cooper wants that.
Well, right. I think that lit a fire under his ass, and he went out there to show out and be like, you know what, I'm still the man.
Yep.
You know, he had 13 catches, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he was a key component of that offense on every drive. Like you said, CeeDee Lamb had a couple drops. The most notable one, I think, was the one obviously across the middle.
Yes.
It hit him right in the hands. Dak made a hell of a throw, and it bounced off his hands, went up in the air, turned into a pick. So, that kind of stuff needs to be shored up. I mean, I understand you're going across the middle. He kind of threw it in between 3 defenders. You know you're going to get popped. You might as well just catch the ball.
Correct.
So, at the end of the day, he still had 7 catches, 104 yards, and a touchdown. So, he didn't have a bad night either, fantasy-wise.
Not at all. I mean, the fantasy numbers that were out there, I couldn't believe just some of them. I think Dak was close to 60.
Yeah.
But as I praised this wide receiving core, it was sad when I was making my notes this morning to come to find out that Michael Gallup is now listed as out for 3 to 5 weeks with a quad injury, I believe it was, a calf strain. I'm sorry.
Calf strain. Yeah. Read that.
So for him to have the outing that he had yesterday as a number 3, number 4, if you will, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But now the reason why I like it so much is because now defense can't just say, well, we got to focus on Lamb. Well, we got to focus on Cooper. Dak is moving that ball everywhere. And so we saw last night with the number 1 rushing defense, at least, they really couldn't even keep, the backfield in control whenever it came to the passing game. So I'm really eager to see how other teams are going to adapt to this. Just looking at it now, it looks like Cedric Wilson is going to step up and take the role for Michael Gallup for the meantime.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened in the game. He just stepped in, took over. He had 3 catches, I believe, for like 24 yards. But this offense has the potential to be lethal. We saw a flash of it clearly last year before that got hurt. So it kind of looks like he picked up right where he left off. He threw for another 400-yard performance. So, I said before the season started, if any quarterback can throw for 6,000 yards, it's going to be him.
This is true.
400 yards in game 1 is on your way. So,
and we got to put some respect on the champs, man. The current champs. Tell me something bad about them.
Bad about the Buccaneers?
Yes.
I don't know. The only thing that I saw was Ronald Jones. Fantasy wise, Ronald Jones finished the game in our league with negative 1.6 points. He's had trouble holding on to the football prior, and he fumbled last night, and it was kind of like, you're done. You're in the doghouse. No more playtime for you.
And they put a lot of hype into him this coming year.
Well,
right?
I mean, last season he was the guy all the way up until the playoffs. And so to see him come out and have a terrible performance and then basically get benched, it's kind of shocking. But, Leonard Fournette stepped up. He took the spot. He took over the game. He relished the opportunity. He had 9 carries for 32 yards, but he also had 5 catches for 27 yards. And some of those catches were not, the yardage is not there, but they were for first downs.
Yeah.
And so, I don't
He also
care.
did give up an interception, though, too.
Well, but he also prevented an interception, right?
Yes,
there was
he did.
another one where Tom Brady's falling down, throws the ball like a rookie to the outside, and Micah Parsons is standing there. Micah Parsons should have taken this to the house, and somehow Leonard Fournette got the football and then still got a gain out of it. I don't even know how that's possible. So, I just feel like there's not, like, I'm nitpicking. I'm trying to find an issue with this team, and there really isn't one. The secondary, I guess, is maybe the weakest link because they did just give up 400 passing yards. But on top of that, we just said that the Cowboys could be a juggernaut offense. So, is it really that bad? Like, if you play the Chiefs and you give up 400 yards, but you win, do we give a shit? I don't think so.
Right.
So I'm saying that maybe the secondary would be the weakest point, but you still got TB12 on the other side of the ball. And if you give him enough time and you give him a big enough window, he's going to walk through that window and win the game for you.
And he didn't look bad last night either. Yeah, he had 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, I believe it was.
Yeah, and so one interception, like you said, wasn't his fault. I didn't see the other one.
The other one was just before the half, and I don't know why Bruce Arians went with this, where it
was a Hail Mary.
Hail Mary to the end zone, and they ran it all the way back to the 40 or maybe the 50. I didn't understand that. Run the clock out, go into the half, big deal. I was very confused by that call. Maybe Bruce Arians forgot to eat his tapioca pudding this morning. I don't know.
Well, at the end of the game, Tom Brady finished 32 of 50 for 379 yards, 4 touchdowns, and the 2 picks we just talked about. So,
and his 300th game.
Yeah, 300th start. That's pretty crazy.
That's nasty.
I think that's most all time, right?
I believe so. I think
he started his 22nd season, and he's 44 years old.
I think Favre was right behind him with 282.
Well, so that means this is his 22nd season.
Mm-hmm.
He started in the NFL when he was 22.
Yep.
So he's been in the league for half his life.
Yep.
Is that not insane?
That's crazy.
And he still looked damn good. And of course, he's still attractive. Fuck you, Tom Brady. Jesus Christ.
Dude, the thing that left a sour taste in my mouth, no pun intended.
We're talking about how good he looks. Now you want to talk about how he tastes or what?
Well, we could always go back to episode 1 where you're talking about Mama's juices or whatever. Tampa Bay's penalties is what killed them last night. And I think that's what made me a little bit more upset this morning, was because of the fact that if they wouldn't have had 11 penalties for 106 yards, I probably would have got paid. Just my opinion, but
I got paid on both sides. Some idiot wanted to take the Cowboys straight up, so I took that. I took Tampa Bay even, and then I also placed a small wager on the Cowboys +9. If you listen to our last episode, Edward, I told you wait till the number gets to 9 so you have the comfort, and then mash that motherfucker with everything you got.
So in my defense, I gave the other guy 8.5. And as the day progressed, it was getting 9.5. I'm like, this bitch is going to hit 10 before.
I didn't think it was actually going to make it to 9.5. I'm shocked by that.
Yes.
But
I
this
think
is one of those weird games, though, because the betting public, for whatever reason, they love to bet on the Cowboys,
yes.
but they also love to bet on Tom Brady. So
I think they probably love more to bet against Tom Brady.
you know what? If you would have said that 10 years ago, I'd be with you. But now, for whatever reason, people love him. It's like
Yeah.
maybe just because he's done it for so long, he's won for so long that like tarnished. Oh my God, it's like the Yankees when they win all the time, even though the Yankees are owned by Jose Altuve. Like you just get to where you're tired of hearing about them winning, and I think now everybody just is like, you know what? It's Tom Brady. Like, how can we be mad at him? You know what I mean?
Right, but it's Tom Brady in a new uniform. It's about like how fans got excited when Brett Favre went to Minnesota or when he went to the Jets. Like people were hoping for pure greatness there as well. Saw a little flash of it in Minnesota, New York, not as well. And this also brings up the whole debate that we've had in the past. Was it Belichick that won them all those Super Bowls, or was it Tom Brady? Well, right now, Tom Brady's in the lead. So I don't know.
Well, but so speaking of Tom Brady's former team, they now have a new starting quarterback in Tom Brady light, Mac Jones.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Belichick was calling him Tommy.
He probably does.
Sir, my name is Mac. Yes, Tommy.
I'm gonna move on to the next games. I've picked 3 games that I'm intrigued by.
Okay.
And I think the top of the list is Miami at New England.
Wow.
But it's because of what's just happened. Cam Newton, former MVP, was there. Everyone just assumed, hey, they signed him in the offseason to a 1-year, like 12 or 14 or $16 million contract. I can't remember what it was, but they signed him basically, hey, he's going to be the starter again. They didn't have to bring him back. They could have just let him walk, and they brought him back. He goes through all of OTAs, all of training camp. He's taken all the number 1 snaps. And then in a weird move, before they cut the roster to 53, he gets cut. And this guy, Mac Jones, is going to start. And so I'm intrigued because I trust Bill Belichick wholeheartedly. He's probably the greatest coach we've seen since, in our lifetime.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, shit. We thought he was good, but to supplant Cam Newton, he's got to be amazing.
Here's my problem with that. He has nobody around him. Nelson Aguilar, nothing. Yes, they got Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, and I'm still crossing my fucking fingers that they run the successful double tight end system.
They have the same offensive coordinator the last time they did that. So
they do. They have Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers has shown that he is he reminds me of Wes Welker in a way, to where he was that guy that you could always depend on, that was in the back that you never really heard a lot about of, right? Yeah. I guess some would say Julian Edelman was the same way, but everybody gives him glory for the catch or whatever.
Right.
Which, whatever. Their backfield, they got rid of Sony Michel, which I think is a mistake. They got Damian Harris and 17 other running backs that they're gonna cycle through. N'Keal Harry, they keep hoping that he's gonna be something, but he keeps getting hurt, and he's gonna be requesting a trade, and then he's not requesting a trade. And to me, right now, Mac Jones is a Band-Aid on the shit show that is New England. I want Mac Jones to succeed, even though at the beginning before he was even drafted, I talked 10 kinds of shit about him because I'm a firm believer that he was surrounded by the talent in Alabama. He wasn't the talent. Bill Belichick, like you said, is a very smart coach. Maybe he is the talent. So we will see. If he is Brady-like per se, I feel like that's a downfall, because then now teams have 13 years of tape to go ahead and figure out how to pick apart Mac Jones. Mac Jones coming in as a rookie, green thumb right there. He's bound to make tons of mistakes that might get inside of his head and just royally screw him up.
Well, you're right. if he plays like Tom Brady, then they've got, ample amount of tape on a guy who plays just like that. The problem is I only remember one guy could ever stop Tom Brady, and that was Eli Manning. Eli Manning ain't walking through that door anymore. So I think if he does play like Tom Brady, they play the same situation. I don't remember any wide receivers on there that were household names other than what Deion Branch one time won a Super Bowl MVP, Randy Moss. That's it. So Jacoby Myers could be the next Deion Branch, and we won't know it till he wins Super Bowl MVP.
You bring up Eli, and all I'm going to say is the quarterback for the New York Giants right now, you don't know him as it, but the world does. Danny Dimes was training
name if you're garbage.
Was training with the Manning boys. So, and he sat under Eli for a year. So maybe he absorbed some of that Brady conquering kryptonite.
Well, so I'm wearing a Broncos jersey, and Drew Lock also worked with the Manning boys, and his ass is on the bench.
Well, okay, so you've covered New England. What's your cover on Miami?
Well, so I'm curious what happens with the quarterback position. They drafted Jalen Waddle, right? Mm-hmm. They have Devontae Parker.
Yes.
They have Mike Gesicki.
Yep.
They have Myles Gaskin.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got skill position players.
Mm-hmm.
And last year they basically made the playoffs with Tua starting every game or majority of the games. And then if he fell behind or needed a bailout, they'd throw in Ryan Fitzpatrick in there and he'd win the game. So they were, I said they made the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs, but they were 10-6. So most years that's decent enough to make the playoffs, but still a winning record nonetheless. So the question is, with Tua, full-time starter, all OTAs, all training camp, everything, is he going to be enough to vault them over 10 wins? I don't think so. I think they take a step back. I think they go 7-10 this year. But I'm very interested to see what happens because it's a very talented team. Defensively, they're very good. So yes. I don't like to say that this is, a make or break year for a second year quarterback because I hate doing that. But that's where we are.
So I think it is a make or break year. I have on my notes for this game, Tua or bust for the season.
Basically, that's what it is.
Because of the fact that, like, as you mentioned, with them flip-flopping back and forth between Fitz and Tua, that's a problem because that shows you wasted a draft pick on something you don't fully trust. Who did they pick up in the free agency? Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett is not somebody to sleep on. He has shown that he can be an essential quarterback for a team. You mentioned
I forgot about that.
You mentioned their offensive weapons. These are not guys to sleep on either. I think Jalen Waddle is going to take Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm calling that right now. Devontae Parker, but Tua, I want to see him succeed. I think he's going to fail. I think the NFL is too fast for him. I don't think he can grasp everything that's going on at one time. It's a lot more complicated than Nick Saban saying, "Hey, do this." Yes, sir.
Well, and plus, when he played for Alabama, the windows he's throwing into are 7 yards wide, right? Receivers he's throwing to are being uncovered by 10 yards.
And he's in the pocket for 4 seconds.
Right. It's a completely different game. I agree with you on the process. It seems like he just doesn't process the information fast enough to anticipate where the next read is going to be. And I'm sure he's a smart guy. I'm sure he's a likable guy. He's definitely very talented, but I mean, so was RG3.
Yes.
And
now I'm
seeing a lot of similarities to him.
RG3 was all injury prone though. That kid was bound for greatness.
I don't even think he was injury prone. So he got hurt, yes, but I think they rushed him back way too soon.
Yes.
And it ended his career. That's what happened.
I
And then
agree.
after that, it seemed like, between the ears, he didn't have it anymore.
Well,
So in this game, who you got? Who you going to pick? The spread for Las Vegas is New England -3, but they're playing in New England, so that's kind of a given.
I'm going to give it to Miami on this one because of their defense and because of Miles Gaskins. Miles Gaskin. I think he's going to be a key factor in this. Yeah, New England picked up some defensive players in the offseason and this and that, but I think the run game is going to be heavy with Miami. They're going to get the run game down to where play action works in Tua's favor. That doesn't mean I'm giving a lot of faith for Tua in the season. I just think Tua is going to look a little bit sharper than normal. I'm going to go Miami on this one.
So I'm following what the spreadsheet says. I'm going to take New England and give the points. So I'm going to take New England -3 there.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I think it'll be a defensive struggle. It might end up being like 19-13 New England.
Okay.
The next game that is going to be a completely different battle is Pittsburgh Buffalo.
Oh,
I think that's your game of the week. I don't think you can get much better than that.
How is this not a Monday or Sunday night game?
Right. See, and that's what I was going to say. Like we have this schedule where you can flex this shit, and this game comes up on your schedule, and you don't go, "Oh yeah, no, we want that Sunday night." Like,
you're putting these cats at 3:00 noon. What time's their game? Noon? Yeah, they got a noon. They got a noon o'clock.
Noon o'clock.
Noon o'clock. They've got a noon game. You're telling me two of the biggest names for sports teams right now, with probably some of the best roster on both sides, and you're giving them a noon game. Fuck you, NFL.
I mean, I'm with you. This is odd, but I mean, you got Josh Allen, who most people are picking to be MVP, which is crazy. And then also the Bills are being picked as the #1 seed for the AFC. And they're playing old man Roethlisberger, who quietly last season threw for 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions after missing basically all of the season before. This is going to be a good game. Then they go out and they draft Najee Harris, right? So, and then the owner comes out and says that we're going to run the football. That guy's probably going to get 25 touches game one.
Do you think he breaks rookie rushing yards?
What's the record?
Good question.
Because now he's got 17 games to do it, not 16.
Ooh.
So
I'd have my secretary look, but I sent her home.
Yeah, I guess after she gets done, you know what? I lost interest.
Singles game.
I mean, I think he's going to rush for 1,000 yards. I can say that.
So I want to go with you on that, but I'm very skeptical because of the fact that Pittsburgh has revamped their entire O-line. You've got some players from former teams. You've got others that they've upgraded. You've got some that they drafted. It's going to be very interesting. I didn't watch any of Pittsburgh preseason because, again, I don't like preseason games, but that's just me. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they work together as far as with having such a dynamic running back behind them. I've been on the fence with Najee Harris because of this. And on top of that, I'm very skeptical about any running back that comes into the league out of college, especially if you come from Alabama, because outside of Derrick Henry, can you name me another successful running back out of Alabama?
No.
Yeah. So forgive me if I'm just like not jumping all over them.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's tough for me to not be gung-ho about him, just knowing the sheer volume that he's going to get from this team.
Yeah.
I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers, for me, growing up, with Jerome Bettis, like that's their identity. Like, if you think of Steelers, you think of tough, smash mouth defense and running the football in the red zone. That's just what I think about, and he fits the bill there. And I think they're gonna force the issue.
So the quickest thing I could find was Eric Dickerson with the rookie rushing yards of 1808.
Yeah, he's not touching that.
Yeah.
So I'll put it at 1,200 yards. He'll rush for 1,200 yards.
See, I'm going to go 970 because of
just under 1,000.
Yes, just because of the fact that you still have Claypool and Juju over there. They just they drafted that tight end Pat Freiermuth.
There
you go.
Yeah.
Even though, like, talking to some Pittsburgh fans, like, they'll claim, oh, well, Big Ben didn't really throw the ball a lot last year. Well, what did he do? 3,800 yards. How many touchdowns?
33 and 10.
Right. So he was flinging the ball. He's got the young talent around him. If your owner is coming out and announcing we're going to run the ball, what do you think defenses are going to prepare for?
Well, I mean, clearly they're going to prepare for stacking the box and making you run the football. So, I mean, That's the idea. But that's one thing that we talked about in the Cowboys-Buccaneers game. Yeah, I can tell you what I'm going to do the whole time, but you still got to line up and stop it.
This is true.
And everybody's a professional. Everybody's fighting for their job. Everybody's fighting for a paycheck. So, I mean, I don't put it past these guys to just show up and, you know what? We're going to run the football on first down. We're going to run the football on second down. Try and stop us.
True.
I'm all for that. I mean, I think the best thing for a quarterback is a good running game, and you've got aging Ben Roethlisberger back there. If you can run the football and then give him more time with play action, I think that's a winning formula. I mean, he's already shown he can win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So you keep his feet clean, you give him a little more time. I'm sure he can throw the right ball to the right person against that defense.
Flipping over to Buffalo, I'm looking at their defense on this game. I need to see their defense is hungry. I need them to – I want to see them put some stops in, because I think that is the one factor that is stopping the Buffalo Bills from being that powerhouse team that everybody wants. Their defense has got to step up. They've got to be hungry. They've got to be vigilant in stopping at every area of the game. You don't have to worry about the offense. They picked up Emmanuel Sanders. They got Cole Beasley, who is always a sleeper that people forget about. And then you
played with a broken leg. Like, he is all about it.
You've got the number one wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, out there. The weak part of their offense is their run game with Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. But I think that the way that they move the ball across amongst those three plus knocks at tight end, you really don't have to worry about the run game.
And I agree with you until I watched them in the playoffs.
Okay.
Right? In the playoffs, when they played the Chiefs, Zach Moss, I think he had 3 carries.
Mm-hmm.
And then Josh Allen, I want to say, had 70 pass attempts. So we talked about that in the Cowboys game. If Dak Prescott is throwing the ball 58 times, that's not a winning formula. I'm saying if Josh Allen is throwing the ball 45 times plus, you're not winning those games. You're going to lose more of those games than you're going to win. That's for sure.
And that's what I'm looking for on this game, is signs that the defense can go ahead and get the other team to go 3 and out, give Josh Allen the ball, let him throw, get the touchdowns. They're back on the bench, stop for another 3 and out.
Yeah, I mean, but I still feel like you need that threat of running the football.
Yeah.
I feel like Pittsburgh could start off with extra defensive backs against Buffalo and just be like, you know what, try and run it. See if you can even do it. I bet you can. And then if they can't, then Josh Allen is going to have to throw the ball 65 times for them to try to win. And look, I'm not 100% sold on Josh Allen.
I know you're not.
Right? I know that, it seems to be a consensus across everyone that watches football that this guy is like the second coming. And he's done it for 1 year. Right. So, like, I understand, though, that the 1 year was phenomenal. That was the best the team has ever been since, the 90s when they lost to the Cowboys and all that kind of stuff. Like, I get it. And I want him to be good, clearly. Like, I don't want to see anybody fail. But this dude, he's been good for one season, right? Before this season, his completion percentage was below 58 for both seasons. Now, granted, 2 years ago, they went 11-5. I think 11-5, 10-6, whatever. They made the playoffs. They were winning a playoff game, and then he coughed it up and gave the game away, and they got beat like 16-12 or something. So, like, I'm all for Josh Allen. I like quarterbacks. I'm a quarterback fan. Like, I understand all that. But you got to show it to me. Like, one time, okay, I see that you can do it, but I've got to see it for multiple seasons. Now, if we get to the point of, week 7 and he's leading the league in passing and he's got, a 70+ completion percentage, he's probably the real deal.
Yeah.
But until then, I can't say anything. So last season, 69.2% completion percentage, 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 6 fumbles. And then on top of that, he rushed for 421 yards and 8 touchdowns. So he's definitely a dynamic player. He's definitely the most important player on the Buffalo Bills offense, but he's only done it for one season. So, let's revisit this at the end of the year, but I'm not ready to anoint him MVP yet.
So who are you taking in this game, Pittsburgh or Buffalo?
So Vegas has Buffalo -6.5, and they have the total at 48. If I had to pick money line, I'm not going to bet this game because I think the line might be a little bit too close. I don't know. I say that, and I am going to bet this game. I'm going to take Pittsburgh plus the points. But I think you can get sneaky here, and you can find some value on taking the Steelers money line because they might win the game outright. Normally, I'm not a fan of, teams traveling east and playing a 12 o'clock game, but they're traveling northeast. So it's not really the same, right? Like they're not going from fucking San Diego to Baltimore. They're not going from, Seattle to Tampa. Like they're going 40 miles north.
They're hopping on the Amish carriers and just going north.
Yeah, like you could,
hey, Jebediah, come on, man.
Harry and Lloyd could ride this on their moped, okay? It's not that far. So I'm thinking when you have this much time to prepare and you've got a veteran quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger, I'm fine with taking Steelers money line. I'm actually thinking I'm going to put a small, not a full unit, but I'll put a quarter unit on Pittsburgh to win outright.
Okay. Y'all heard it here. If you believe in what Zach's saying, follow him up on the bet. See how it goes.
Yeah, I'll go through the rest of the games. I just wanted to pick a couple of these games because of the storylines, but I'll find some bets that I'm really in favor of. I'll post them on Twitter. I'll post them everywhere. Everywhere we have social media, I'll post them all there. I'm thinking I might make it a recurring thing. If by week 3 I'm 0-15, I'm just gonna fucking quit it. But I'm gonna try to put 5 games out there a week, and we'll see how we go. This week I'm gonna cheat and say that the Cowboys +9 was one of them. So just throwing that out there. But
quick disclaimer: these are all Zach's opinions and Zach's opinions only. He's not responsible for your money.
Exactly. Yeah. If you win or lose money,
I'm
sorry or congratulations. Either way.
What's your third game?
My third game is going to stay in that division. I think Pittsburgh is going to challenge Baltimore for the division this year. But it's going to be Baltimore, Las Vegas.
Uh-huh.
Las Vegas was picked a lot last year as a dark horse to get a wild card, make the playoffs. None of that happened. I'm not really sure what has happened to that team. I was hugely in favor of the John Gruden hire. I like John Gruden, but it seems like finally his ideas are taking hold and they're gaining a little bit of traction. They're going to play Baltimore, which Baltimore, as everyone knows, is being devastated by injury right now. They lost 2 guys in the same day in the same practice to torn ACLs. Yeah. So Gus Edwards is out for the season and Marcus Peters is out for the season, both torn ACLs. I don't know what turf they're practicing on. I don't know if it's like the marching band parking lot.
Their yard guys need to get fired. Whoever their landscapers are.
That's unbelievable. I don't even know what to say to that. But now Baltimore is starting behind the 8 ball. The only guy that is still on their roster, or the only guy that's going to, the only running back that was on their roster prior to all these injuries, is is Tyson Williams, second-year running back. He's basically going to get the starting job by default, and that's because everyone else died.
By 3 players that have gone down.
Yeah, so it's so weird. The running back meeting room had J.K. Dobbins dead. It had Gus Edwards dead. And it had another guy that
Justice Hill.
There you go. Justice Hill, torn Achilles, dead. So now it goes to Tyson Williams or Taysom. I don't know how to say his name, but Tyson. Williams. I can pronounce Williams, and we're going to call him Williams. Him, and they signed Latavius Murray, who got cut. They signed Devontae Freeman, who got cut. And they signed Le'Veon Bell, who is surprisingly only 29. So I don't know how long Tyson Williams holds on to this job, but how weird is it that he's the only one left standing? Like, if I was him, I would be taking like a rascal to practice.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't even be running routes or nothing. I wouldn't even put on shoes. I would be taking like,
hey, coach, I'm practicing on Madden. You let me know what the plays are, and I'll see what I can do.
Look, today I'm just doing mental reps.
So I don't know if you go to ourlads.com at all for depth chart.
All the time.
They have Latavius Murray as the number 1 running back right now.
Really?
Yes, which I'm very surprised with just picking him up yesterday, and Sunday is 1 day away.
Yeah. I understand.
Absolutely.
I believe that Latavius Murray is definitely a capable running back. I just don't know if I want to put Latavius Murray in the backfield next to my MVP caliber quarterback and be like, hey, we're going to throw the ball. This is the pass protection.
Yep.
And, somebody makes a call and he makes a mistake, and now Lamar Jackson gets pounded. I don't want to see that.
So that is one of the things I'm looking at this game is the Baltimore offense. I'm never really worried about the Baltimore defense because for some reason they can be a bunch of no-namers, but they're always within the top 5, top 10 as far as defenses, right?
I was going to say the GM there knows how to draft defense for sure.
Me personally, I want to see Marquise Brown come back to how he was starting his rookie season and some of last year where he was getting the name Hollywood Brown. Yeah. He needs to come up. In all reality, though, we all know what it's going to be. It's going to be another Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews storyline to where they connect. And I love the connection between the quarterback and tight end in this story because they find each other like it was the Notebook, man. They come together like peanut butter and jelly.
We go together like cocaine and waffles.
Absolutely. What?
We go together like Chinese food and chocolate pudding. Let's face
it. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
Other than the offense being healthy, they have to have their players step up. Like Marquise Brown is one of them. Sammy Watkins, I put no eggs in his basket because Sammy Watkins, I don't know how you've made it this far in the NFL. You're injury prone, you're busted goods.
I'm not going to say he's busted, but I feel like any contribution that he makes to your offense is definitely not something you were counting on.
Right.
But going back to the running backs, this is a team that led the league in rushing last year. And now you're telling me that 3 of the guys in your running back meeting room have never even played for your team. They never even were in OTAs. They haven't even had a fucking practice yet. And now they're going to be maybe backups. Hell, according to, like you said, our lads, one of them's fucking starting. I don't even know how it's possible.
Maybe it's going to be Lamar Jackson leads the team in passing, rushing, and completions and fucking touchdowns. I don't know. He might be the Renaissance man.
I don't know if he can throw the ball to himself.
He might be able to.
I mean, I'm not going to doubt it. I've seen that kid do all kinds of crazy shit. But I feel like this is a year for Baltimore to try to show the NFL, hey, you know what? We've had winning records the last 3 seasons. Joe Flacco obviously was departed. They went 10-6 with Joe Flacco. They got rid of him because they lost the wild card round. So the next year, Lamar Jackson comes in. They go 14-2. They lost in the division round. So they lost in 2018, lost the first round of the playoffs. 2019, lost first round of the playoffs. 2020, guess what they did?
They lost.
They lost in the first round of the playoffs. Yep. So this is the year where they've got to show we're not a one and done team. And I'm going to tell you right now, you heard it here on the podcast. If they lose in the first round of the playoffs or they don't make the playoffs, I think they'll make the playoffs. But if they lose in the first round of the playoffs, Harbaugh will be fired.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think after this season, if they're not in the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, Harbaugh's gone. I don't care if they make it to the AFC champion.
I think that's enough. I think AFC championship game with a good showing. If they show up to the AFC championship game and they play Buffalo or they play Kansas City and they lose like 45-10, yeah, he'll get fired.
So I'm going to compare this to Mike McCarthy. How many times did Mike McCarthy go to the Super Bowl with Green Bay?
Once.
How many did they win?
1.
How many times did they go to the NFC Championship?
Twice.
How many did they win? 1. Right? Harbaugh's already been to the Super Bowl. He's won the Super Bowl.
Correct. But with Joe Flacco.
Okay, regardless of it, though, like he keeps getting into the playoffs, but he's not producing. If he's not in the Super Bowl, I think he's gone after this year.
I mean, it's very possible. I think it's odd, though, that we look at what Harbaugh has done in Baltimore.
Has been spectacular, in my opinion.
And I think of the 2 coaches in this game, Harbaugh is on the hotter seat than John Gruden.
Yes.
So the reason why I say that is because I alluded to it earlier. John Gruden is finally, it looks like, getting the ball rolling in the direction he wants to go. His first season, they were 4-12. Then they were 7-9, and then they were 8-8 last season. So they're moving in the right direction. This is going to have to be the year that they make the playoffs.
This is another team. I think they have the offensive weapons in place. It's their defense that needs to step up. Last year, they had the 10th overall offense, but they had the 30th overall defense.
Their defense is definitely going to be better this season.
And I hope it is.
I'm just not sold on this wide receiver core. I don't fully understand why it doesn't perform. You have a pretty good running back. Josh Jacobs is a top 10 running back.
I think their 1-2 punch with him and Drake complements each other.
That's going to help for sure. Just having somebody that's not necessarily a change of pace, but somebody that's going to be fresh legs in the middle of a game, even in the middle of a series, in the middle of a drive. I think that's going to benefit all parties involved. I think, granted, Drake looked pretty good in Arizona when he was getting all the carries, but he's not a back either. the deal is there's only like a handful of guys where you just turn around 300 times and give it to Derrick Henry, right? Like there's only a handful of guys built like that. And I don't think either one of these guys are built that way. They're very good running backs, right? They're great. Obviously, Josh Jacobs is the better running back. I mean, I feel like that's clear. That's a consensus, whatever. But I don't understand how this passing game doesn't produce more. Like, I'm a huge fan of Derek Carr. I think he is a great quarterback. I mean, obviously, John Gruden was quoted as saying the reason why he wanted to coach the Raiders is because he really likes Derek Carr. But when you look at the wide receivers, Henry Ruggs, Brian Edwards, Hunter Renfrow, they're not household names, but like Henry Ruggs, first round draft pick, right? Brian, excuse me, Brian Edwards, South Carolina wide receiver. Where was he drafted?
Third, second or third?
Yeah, drafted in the third round. So, okay, that's not typically where you're going to find top guys. But I mean, Brian Edwards has been in the league. Hunter Renfrow has been in the league
since 19.
2019. I guess that means he got drafted in the 5th round there. But his stat line doesn't look like a 5th round draft pick.
No.
And then they have Darren Waller, who is arguably a top 2 tight end, right? Only one better than him maybe is Travis Kelce.
Yep.
So I don't understand why it's so hard for them to throw the ball. I feel like this should be just like a dynamic offense. And
I think you mentioned it with the progression that with this being Gruden's 4th year, he went, like you said, 4-12, 7-9, 8-8.
Yeah.
Maybe this is that year, but also I think he's in one of the hardest divisions too, to where you're facing talent that matches, if not better. I mean, Kansas City, you got Denver, Chargers.
But right now, typically, there's 3 teams in this division that are good. I don't know what else to say about Kansas City. I mean, they're the class of the AFC.
Right.
So that's one thing. I'm with you on that. And then obviously with Herbert in I always want to say San Diego. I'm still not used to not saying San Diego.
Just say Chargers.
That's what I was going to say. In the Chargers. Obviously he showed that he was worth a 1st round pick. I still think he's going to take a step back this season, but regardless, you're right. They play some pretty stiff competition, and I'm just this team is so weird to me. I feel like when you look at the team, they're very talented, but they're just not. It's like they're taking baby steps.
Yeah,
and you know what? Maybe that's the right direction. I don't know. Maybe we're just so used to like immediate satisfaction that we're just not looking at it correctly.
Well, when you have Gruden on a 10-year contract paying him $500 million, I mean, whatever it is, I'm making up those numbers, but
right. I mean, you're not far off.
So who are you taking, Baltimore or Vegas?
So Vegas, the sports betting line is Las Vegas +4, right? But they're playing in Las Vegas, which I don't know if it's exactly a home field advantage yet, because this is only their 2nd year. This is the 1st year they're actually going to have fans in the stadium. So I'm not sure if this is going to qualify as a home field advantage yet. But on my spreadsheet, I have Las Vegas +7. So I think this is a game that I'm going to stay away from. Okay. Typically on my spreadsheet, if it's off, like if I think the line is off by like six or more points, then that's typically when I'm pushing a button. But I think in this game, I'm going to stay away. If I have to pick a winner, I'm going to pick Baltimore to win, just because I think Oakland isn't fully there yet. I think in the AFC,
you mean Baltimore, Vegas?
What did I say?
Oakland.
See, I
It's
can't
habit. I
can't
know.
get used to that shit either. I'm just gonna call them the Raiders. So I think behind Buffalo and Kansas City, Baltimore's in that next tier, right? I think you can make an argument that Pittsburgh is there. I think you can make an argument that there's other handful of teams. Maybe the Browns are kind of pushing into that. I'm not ready to solidify that yet, but they're in that next tier where they can challenge for an AFC championship. So I don't think that I can put the Raiders in that category yet. I think they're just below that. So I'm gonna say Baltimore wins this game. But it's gonna be kind of one-sided. I think it might be a like a 28-16 kind of game.
Okay. Before we close out the show, I've got to bring up my game, and this is the only game I'm really interested in: Cleveland versus Kansas City. We're having a repeat of playoff match. What I'm looking for is Cleveland's defense. Can they stop Patrick Mahomes? Can they find what Tampa Bay found and put a stop to Patrick Mahomes? I think the Super Bowl game gave us gave not us, but Kansas City a lot of vulnerable sites to where I think smart teams, if they can pick up the right cues, they can shut down Patrick Mahomes. Another thing I think that's going to hurt Patrick Mahomes or help him, he has a brand new O line. I don't know if you've looked at this. I looked at it today because I was just curious. I don't know if you've heard of the name Joe Thuney.
Yeah.
Came from New England. He's their left guard now. Their left tackle's Orlando Brown, who is supposed to be outstanding.
Yep.
Trey Smith, they drafted him from Tennessee at right guard. He's starting. Lucas Niag, I'm mispronouncing that. He was actually a rookie last year, but opted out because of COVID at right tackle. Then they got Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma as their center. So
Nice.
this is a young O-line with two pretty experienced known players, which hopefully they're the leaders that Fisher was, and I can't remember the other guy by his name right now, was last year. But this scares me to have Patrick Mahomes, this $500 million quarterback, and you've got this practically brand new O-line in front of them. I understand changes need to be made at certain times. Is this the time to do that? I don't know. Kelsey's getting up there in age. Tyreek's getting up there. Like, everybody's aging each year. Are you able to waste a year testing out a new O-line like this? We're going to see. I'm going to go against the grain. I think Cleveland's defense is going to come out and go hard on this one with the best offensive line in the league. Nick Chubbs and Kareem Hunt are going to be running the ball down Kansas City throat. I'm going Cleveland on this game.
Wow. I don't think that's that bad a pick, really. It's out there. You're definitely going to get some if you put some money on that, you're definitely going to get some value on Cleveland. Yeah. I'm going through my spreadsheet real quick. The Vegas has the line at Kansas City -5.5, which I think that's probably typical. But they're playing in Kansas City, so the home field advantage is usually 3 points. So that would mean that they're trying to say Kansas City is only 2.5 points better than Cleveland. I don't know. I'm not ready yet to say that Cleveland has arrived. I need to see more from Baker Mayfield. And then I also need to see how they respond with Odell Beckham on the field. Last season, when he went down with an injury, it seemed like the offense kind of gelled, went through Jarvis Landry a lot more, and the running game. Really, I think the running game was key. Having two guys like Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. It's rare to see a team that has two running backs with that much talent.
Yep.
I think, really you could hand off the ball to those guys 40 times a game, and you could pretty much pencil in that they're going to rush for almost 200 yards, guaranteed 2 touchdowns. So I think when you start there, that's the jump off point. the way to beat Patrick Mahomes is to control the football and keep him off the field. I think we've seen as he plays, when he has, the first possession he may or may not be on, but the more possessions he gets, the more times that he drops back, the more times that he throws the football, he gets better and better and better as the game goes on. And he's too gifted an athlete, and
absolutely,
his team is too dynamic around him to give him multiple opportunities. So I feel like if you can take the time of possession and swing it in your favor by 5 or 6 minutes, that gives you a hell of an advantage. I'm not ready. Like I said, I'm not ready to pick Cleveland to win this game. If I was, if you put a gun to my head and you made me pick, I'm going to take Kansas City.
Yeah.
I have the line myself as Kansas City minus 18. So, Kansas City should win handily, but there's a bunch of other factors that are going to go into that. And so I haven't completely incorporated those, plus with the, weather and all that kind of shit too. But I think Kansas City wins this game. I'm pretty sure they're going to cover the spread. 5.5 doesn't seem like much, but then we've seen other games where Mahomes just disappears.
Yep.
Sometimes, and they're unexplainable. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just you wake up and holy shit, he only threw for 208 yards. What the hell? What happened?
Was he sick?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then there are other games where did he throw for 575 yards
on 12 attempts?
Is that weird? Is that a typo? What the hell? So I don't know. I still think Kansas City is the class of the AFC, and I definitely think Cleveland has something to prove. Because like I said, I think that they're trying to move into that next tier. But I think even if they were to win this game, I don't think it proves anything yet. They've got to do it for a whole season.
I agree.
I'm going to stick with Kansas City.
All right. Well, all y'all who have listened, go ahead and let us know in the comments below wherever you're listening to us, whether it be on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Let us know what you think. If not, go ahead and find us on all things social media on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Give us your opinions, your picks. Y'all be on the lookout for Zach's money line and all his spread picks and all his betting coming this Sunday. He's going to try to do it weekly. I may jump in every now and then with my sleeper picks. I don't know. Depends on if I'm sober. We'll see. But next time you're at the bingo hall and you're hitting on the old money bags next to you trying to get you a sugar mom, go ahead and tell her about Two Wannabe Athletes Talk Sports, how it's your favorite podcast. Maybe she'll learn something.
Yeah, I mean, we're all about trying to get on the elderly wavelengths. Yeah, I'm apparently there are some. Can you call them cougars if they're 80 years old?
Well, Gilf. Can you call them Gilf? Because they're bound to be grannies.
But when they're 80, aren't they great grannies? So it'd be a Gilf.
So you have a stutter problem. Gilf.
Yeah, it's a Gilf, but I hesitated. Yeah, man. The next time you're getting your colonoscopy, right before you go under, and they give you that little deal to pick a song, just go straight to Spotify and put on Two Wannabe Athletes Talk Sports. Your doctor will thank you.
Absolutely. He might even tighten you up a little bit there for those of y'all who need that.
It could happen.
Just saying. This has been another episode of Two Wannabe Athletes Talk Sports. I'm Ed.
I'm Zach.
And we will see you next time, assholes.
Always a good.